What was something no one warned you about before starting first year?
The amount of classes we have up to 18 subjects.
Yeah, I think that's crazy.
Yeah, to be honest, I did not think it was 18. I thought it was about 10.
I mean, it's like 5 main classes.
Right? No, you have 2 main classes, histology and anatomy for first year, and then all the other ones are like minor subjects. But then, for example, embryology
or biophysics.
Yeah, they're like minor classes, but you end up studying, I feel like, more for those classes in like the span of 1 month because of the amount of work like you don't do throughout the semester, and then you have to catch up and not fail the exam.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because you're so focused on anatomy and histology that you feel like, oh, I'll just go to the lectures, listen to the lectures, come back home. But obviously, I would not recommend
you can't
do all your stuff while it's going on.
Okay, what was the biggest shock academically in the first year?
I think, like, histo, for example, a lot of the stuff is a lot self-taught.
Yeah, history you have to teach yourself, and then they give you a test, and then they teach you on that subject, which is really strange.
And I feel like after you do the like mini quiz, like after you study all week, do a quiz, and then they start teaching you, you don't pay attention anymore.
Yeah.
Well, at least I don't pay attention anymore.
Yeah.
And then I just have to teach myself.
Yeah, that's the same thing for anatomy, like theory.
Mm-hmm.
Like you really don't.
I don't really go over it.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of like a self-taught thing, and I feel like everyone thinks, oh, like I'll be able to catch up, so you let it pile on, and then like after 8 anatomy classes, it seems like you'll be fine, and then like the weekend before the test, you have like 102 pages to go over from the clinical Morse book, and it's not feasible, in my opinion. Okay.
Oh wait, another thing for the anatomy, like you go into an anatomy lab and they're basically just teaching you for the practical aspect of your test. The theory aspect, like you said, is fully self-taught.
I don't really agree with that because the teachers we've had have also taught us a bit of theory as well. They'll be telling us stuff that will appear on the theory test as well. So it depends on the teacher, I believe.
Yeah.
I just feel like sometimes you would expect to be like, I don't know, for example, like grade school or like high school, they teach you like step by step everything. They're like, okay, today's subject is based on this and this, and then you have homework, and then you have like, I don't know, a small project, and then your test. And then for med school, it's like, okay, we're doing abdomen. So you do all of abdomen, and then you have your test. So if you've been slacking off all semester, or like the time block you have to study for abdomen, you won't pass the exam.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, did anyone expect studying harder would be enough and then realize it wasn't?
I think that's
that was me, yes.
That's very good statement.
Yeah, because the first anatomy and the second. I studied as much as I could, but I think I studied the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't go to the past papers especially, which is
that's
kind of a mistake.
I know it sounds so wrong for like med students, but you can study as hard as you want, but the time you have is not enough time to study that, so you get to the point where you're just memorizing stuff, which obviously is not the best way to learn it, because it's much better to understand it and be able to answer the questions easier, but you don't have that time frame. So at this point, we're at the stage where we're just kind of memorizing stuff for the test, because studying harder is not fast enough.
And it's like really frustrating because sometimes you'll just like pour your heart into it, you'll just be like studying and studying and studying. You like in your head, you're like, I'm doing everything I can. I'm putting 8 hours every day. I'm studying in the mornings, after class, in between classes, before sleep. And it's just like a repetitive cycle until the test. You take the test and then you get a failing grade, and it's like, how is this possible if I like killed myself to do as much as I could? But either you barely like missed the mark or you completely failed by like a lot. And it's just like mentally really draining because you expect one thing and you end up with like a completely different. And I think like everyone who's in med school is smart.
That's the thing, everyone's expecting to pass. Like the first, when you're doing that first colloquium in that first term, and you're obviously new to med school, you're thinking, oh, I've got this. I've studied so well in secondary school, high school, college to get this far, so I'll just use that same tactic. And then after the first test, you realise that doesn't work anymore. You're now just memorising, like not memorising, you are learning the test. You're learning the test, almost like learning for the test. You're not learning.
Yeah, you have to figure out how they structure the questions and how to answer them and like what concepts are going to be high yield, because you can read 300 pages of the textbook and understand it but not remember any of it, and then when the test comes and they ask you, oh, what's the superior border of Winslow's Foreman? You didn't read that in the textbook and you didn't bother remembering that, so now you can't answer the question.
Yeah.
So I think you really have to like train yourself to figure out how to answer it and what they look for. That's very niche and that's very specific to what they look for.
Yeah.
Okay. Why does it feel harder to relax socially when everyone around you is also stressed?
I feel like that's because when you see everyone working hard, you feel like, oh, I have to work hard as well to catch up to them. You don't want to get left behind, right? And
It just builds up anxiety as well.
yeah,
You see everyone around you studying and then you're not studying.
you feel like,
Like,
oh,
what
am
if-
I doing something wrong?
I'm wasting my life.
Yeah.
I felt that today.
No, but that makes sense. Because it's like you walk into the library and you see everyone studying and everyone looks so motivated, and then you could just be like, oh, I don't want to study today, or the test is in 2 weeks. You're like, I have time, but everyone around you is studying, and it's just like.
And then when you do decide, oh, I'm just going to have a bit of fun today, and then you see someone else studying, and you're like, oh, no, did I mess up?
It's like a
Like-
guilt.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Yeah, that's
it's really weird because I don't know if it's happened to you guys, but sometimes when you have nothing to study for, or like you're done with exams or whatever, I feel guilty that I'm not studying for something.
The next
It's like
one. Yeah.
a recurring feeling where it's like, oh, I should be studying for something. I feel really anxious because I'm not.
It's also very important to add that you need breaks. Otherwise, your brain would not take in any information.
Oh, it's very
Just
true.
want you.
It's also important that you measure those breaks. Don't let those breaks extend into days.
Yeah. You have
That
to find
can
like a
happen.
balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the doom scroll generation has really messed us up.
Yeah. Okay. Do you feel like you're able to switch off medical thinking outside of school?
Definitely not. Today, I was making pancakes and I thought they looked like the greater momentum. And I couldn't stop thinking about it, even when I ate it.
That's true. When I eat meat, I just think of cadavers, which is not a good thing. But it's like the same color. It sounds really
When
wrong.
you were cutting like red meat and you cut into it and you see like all these little holes on the meat, not holes, but like little like blocks, you're like, oh, muscle fibers, striated
Yeah.
muscle. And it's just,
You're eating it.
Or like you see something pink with patterns, you're like, oh, histology, there we go.
Exactly.
Yeah, I swear. After histology, everything pink is just like, oh, it's a histology stain.
Yeah.
But not even that. Like, even like in a medical context, like you have like a mate or something and you see, oh, their knee looks a bit funny today. Or like they complain about a pain in their knee. You're like, oh, that's probably like the medial epicondyle of the femur.
That, or like, I don't know, you get sick and then all your friends start diagnosing you, or you just start coming up with different theories and you're like, oh, well, it could be this and it could be that.
Which is stupid because we are first year med students.
It is, but when it's not, it's ridiculously scary. One of our friends, Renata, she had appendicitis last year, and she was just like, oh,
Shout
my
out to
abdomen
Renata.
hurts and everything. And we were joking about it for like a month, and then one day she just woke up feeling really sick, and right before we called the paramedics, she was like, I have pain in like my lower right back. And that's when me and a friend were like, what if it's appendicitis? Because like, you know, if you have back pain, increased abdominal pain, like sharp shooting pain, it's key for appendicitis, and you can do McBurney's test, which is like 1/3 down. See what I mean? It's
That's
like
the
these
thing,
sort of
I
things, like-
instantly thought of McBurney's point
Yeah.
as soon as you have said appendix.
So, and then they, like, hours later in the ER, they were like, oh, okay, yeah, like, you have a high suspicion it's appendicitis. So then you're just sitting there in the waiting room, like, you have a high suspicion. I've known this for like an entire day now.
That's the other, but it is highly satisfying as well when you
Yes.
diagnosed it before a doctor has. Like when our mates have like, I don't know, skin condition of sorts, and you can just be like, I told them it wasn't that, and the doctor gives them a completely wrong diagnosis, and then we realise that I was right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a little self-esteem boost
Yeah.
in a way.
We are definitely not doctors, and I will not test anything we diagnose for the next 6 years, but
But we can have suspicions.
yes.
It's just
Yes,
like,
it's quite much. Right?
so that's what I mean. You can't turn it off. You just kind of just start thinking like that all the time. Okay, last question. Why do you think first year feels so mentally exhausting, even without clinical responsibility?
Because you have to get used to so much new stuff, like the amount of studying, like lack of sleep, and the amount of caffeine intake.
Yeah, the amount of times you guys have made chai in the last 2 years.
Two
Not
cups
even that,
today.
but just like the runs to the little corner store to get like a 6 of Red Bulls. Ridiculous.
That's why you always have a fridge full of monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nathan stores his monsters.
Yeah, well,
You
They're
do
not
so?
safe anymore.
I
I did not know that. They're not safe.
But you're right, first year is more mentally exhausting than you think it would be. You come in expecting it's just going to be like similar to just doing like A levels. Or
Yeah,
whatever you guys did.
I feel like you come in being like, oh, I'm going to study and like keep track of all my studying. But then you'll find yourselves like in your bed, ready to go to sleep, reviewing your Anki flashcards, and
And then
you have like
accidentally falling
300
asleep.
left.
Yeah.
So, and then when you do go out, you'll wake up the next morning with a hangover and you're like, oh, I have to study now. So it's just like a shift in your lifestyle that you have to get used to. Like going from no studying or like school, high school studying to medical school studying, which is just off the charts. And if you don't track it, like if you don't balance it out, it's just going to eat you alive.
Yeah, so when someone tells you med school's all fun and games, it's all lies. It is fun and games, I can give you that, it's fun. But, like, do not take it lightly.
I feel like that's another misconception. Like people are like, oh, you're going into med school, you're going to have no life for the next 10 years. That's such a lie. We go out every weekend.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't in the last month. But I mean, we went out on a Thursday and they had an exam on a Friday. So it's really like however you want to make your time in med school, that's how it's going to go. Like if you want a balanced life, like you can go out and you can also study.
Also, on the other hand, like people come into med school thinking like people will tell you, oh, now you've got into med school, you'll be fine because you've got in.
Yeah, I've
I
heard
people
that.
say that's
Getting
easy.
in is easy.
Yeah,
part.
getting in-
Staying
exactly.
in, that's the hard part.
No, I heard completely different. Getting in was the hard part. Staying in is
Yeah,
fine.
no, that's what people around like parents and stuff say. Oh,
Yeah.
you're now in, so you'll be fine.
Don't worry about
but,
it.
Oh,
But,
that's
yeah.
not.
No,
it's
but like
completely
after a
opposite.
couple of months, you're like getting in was so easy. Staying in and like being okay,
Yeah.
physically, mentally, I don't know, balanced life is just so much harder.
Yeah.
Special.
But anyway, that is why med school is all about deception.
Yes.
Which is the theme of our topic.
We all cut that. That's okay.
What do you mean?
Don't